Oh no, hellos and welcome back to another videos. And today we'll be returning to the series of the Vinyls Top 10. It's just simple as that, honestly. I couldn't come up with a creative name like I usually do, but yeah, we're just gonna go with it. I mean, I've been going for it for the past 3 episodes, so just continue it, I guess, honestly. And yes, I've been doing my research more on cards, so don't worry if some cards don't make it onto the list. I'm for sure that these cards are powerful. So yeah, if you try to search for the dark, don't bother. I got this. Okay. You guys may have your own opinion, but this is my list, and I must have it. It is mine, and mine only. So yeah. Anyways, we're gonna be moving on to number 10 of the dark, and that's Dance of the Many. Yes, Dance of the Many. You guys have never heard of this card, haven't you? Well, just it's basically just create another creature. It's just copy another creature basically. Although I don't like this because you have to pay 2 blue during your upkeep or it's destroyed. So basically kind of like commutative upkeep, but you know, just a little bit of, I guess, a buff to it. I guess you only have to pay 2 blue mana and nothing else. That's it. But yeah, this is just basically you could just copy any creature card on the battlefield. Now the text looks weird because it's, yeah, from an old set, of course. So yeah, 2 blue to copy something isn't actually half bad. Although you do have to pay 2 blue, so maybe they were trying to nerf it or something, but I don't know. I do like the flavor though. Maybe the 2 mana is to show it's like it's dancing or something. I don't know. The art is kind of weird too. I don't know what's actually going on in that art. It kind of creeps me out sometimes. So yeah, that's number 10 in a nutshell, basically. And number 9 is another blue card. No, no big shock here. It's Flood. Yeah, so Flood is like Gravity Bomb on crack. So when you put Flood down for 1 blue mana, you could tap a non-flying creature an opponent controls, or any, basically. Now it does say non-flying, so yeah, you're kind of limited to some stuff, but that's pretty good in a blue deck, especially if you're trying to control the board. So yeah, this is just a pretty efficient card. You do have to keep the 2 blue mana up, unfortunately, but in my Gravity Bomb deck, as you guys seen on my YouTube, by the way, check out my streams if you haven't. Yeah, this card would be perfect in it, honestly. Um, yeah, it's just a solid card overall, and we should try to get more effects like this. It's pretty interesting sometimes, the effects you can get from just a card like this. Now this one is efficient, so maybe don't create it that efficiently. So yeah, just try to stay away from that. And number 8, we're going to be switching to blue to black, and that is Season of the Witch. So basically, it's at the end of each player's turn, all of his or her untapped creatures that did not attack are destroyed. So basically, you're forced to attack. And if you do not pay 2 life during your upkeep, Season of the Witch is destroyed. So yeah, another cumulative upkeeping. So basically, this is forcing your opponent to attack, or else their creatures are destroyed. Now, keep in mind, it does actually prevent, indestructible stuff won't be destroyed. So yeah, that's basically pretty much it. And it doesn't say it. It doesn't say like I guess there's some like weird errata that says you could just tap them though. Like if they're a mana dork, you can just tap them. They don't get destroyed, but I'm not too sure. Um, I'm really not too sure. And it does get around vigilance, so if you do attack with a vigilance creature, you're fine. This effect doesn't work on them. I'm pretty sure it doesn't work on them. I don't know. I would have to read into the card more, but yeah, the weird text says otherwise you must attack or they're destroyed. That's the main gist of the card. That's what it's trying to accomplish, and it accomplished it pretty well. But yeah, this doesn't see play anywhere besides maybe EDH. But yeah, you guys can just take a look at the card yourself. It's kind of a pushed away card. No one plays it because of the 2 life they have to pay. But you should really play it. It's a really good card. Recommend it. What I also recommend is City of Shadows. This is our number 7 card. Oh yes, City of Shadows. Oh, I just love this in token decks. And a lot of like token flood decks would probably run this card. I don't really see them running it though. And honestly, I've been putting it in a lot of token decks. So basically, what this is if people don't know what this card does, let me just read it to you. All right, it says exile target creature you control, put a storage counter on City of Shadows. Okay, what's the other effect here then? Well, what are you supposed to do with that? Well, if you tap its second ability, you can add X to your mana pool, where X is the number of storage counters on City of Shadows. That's a lot of mana if you're considering a token deck. So you can just sack your tokens. You're making a lot of tokens. They can't really attack your opponent. You just say, all right, I'm going to get something bigger out. I'm going to play like, I don't know, like a freaking White Sun Zenith, just totally wreck their day. And yeah, this card is pretty good. I don't know why it doesn't see play a lot in EDH. It should see play though. It's a really solid card. I put it at number 7 because of it. It's kind of overlooked. So keep in mind, you probably should play this net for now on. And another card I play, but I don't think other people play, is Safe Haven. I put this at number 6. Now, a very interesting card indeed. So yeah, remove a target creature you control from the game. How is that good? I don't get this. Well, during your upkeep, sacrifice Safe Haven to return all creatures it has removed from the game directly into play. So what you can do with this card is you can save, like, I don't know, maybe a Phage. If someone's trying to steal my Phage, I play Safe Haven and I don't play Safe Haven. I have Safe Haven out and I'll be like, you can't take that away from me. Because people do that all the time, and I actually had to put Safe Haven in my decks because of it. But yeah, it's just a solid card. People also overlook this card, and I don't know why. It really helps. You could just sacrifice it. If you have like a Voltron style of deck, this is really good because if there's a board wipe or if there's like EOE removal, but in your soul decks, it don't really matter. But if there's a board wipe, you could save it by using Safe Haven, so then you can get back your Soul or your Tron card. So yeah, just really good. I would definitely recommend this card in a lot of Tron decks. It's really good. It's really, really good. So let's move on to the other powerhouses of EDH, basically. And we'll move on to number 5, and that's Felwar Stone. Felwar Stone was printed in the dark. Yes, it was. And all it just says is add 1 mana to your mana pool of any of your opponent's lands they could reduce. So basically, you steal their color. Basically the gist of it. And guess what? It's colorless, so any deck can play it, even if you're running a colorless deck. So if you have contamination out on the battlefield, well then, you can get around that. Well, you could probably just play Chromatic Lantern, but you get the idea. So yeah, this card is pretty bonkers in a nutshell. I mean, 2 for 1 mana, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good mana rock, and it sees play. It's basically a staple in EDH. It's been a staple for a while, and I don't think that's ever going to change. But although it has replaced Arcane Signet, Arcane Signet has basically replaced Felwar Stone. It's just way better in every way. But if you're like stuck in a situation where there's contamination on the field, you might want to consider this, maybe. But I guess the same could be said about Arcane Signet, honestly. So, yeah, maybe not. I like Arcane Signet better. No offense. I hope I didn't hurt your feelings, Fulverstone. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's all right. Take your time. Take your time. Yeah, we're not going far. But we're not going far. We're going far into the Mana Vortex, and that is number 4. See how I jumped into that one? All right. So yeah, number 4. What does this baby do? So it's 1 blue for enchantment, and when you cast Mana Vortex, you may sacrifice a land. If you don't, counter Mana Vortex. You kind of get around that maybe. Um, and at the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices land. Oh goody, just what we needed. Stacks of sacks. So this is played in a lot of actually really aggressive Xur builds in EDH. It's played mainly to actually get the Mana Vortex out and play as kind of like a stack card. And it's played in CEDH Xur decks to stack the board with these annoying effects, and it's just stupid, It's just stupid. I absolutely hate this card because of how broken it is. But I guess you do have to sacrifice your own lands, so there's a caveat. But I guess if you're just running like artifacts, then this doesn't matter. So yeah. Basically, the gist of the story is Mana Vortex powerful, and you be gone from EDH because people would probably hate you when they play this card. So yeah, there's a reason why people would probably want to not play with you. You're probably playing a Xur deck, by all means, though. All right, and let's move on to the third card. And this one's another artifact. But although it is played almost everywhere in every sideboard ever, and it is Tormod's Crypt, and it's 0 mana. 0 mana, you sacrifice it, remove all cards in target player's graveyard from the game. You could just say this is like a zero cost, go fuck your graveyard, basically, kind of card. So yeah, this is sees play in modern in a lot of a lot of sideboards. So if a lot of people are like playing Dredge or Crabvine decks, they'll use this card to just basically interrupt them, and they could just keep it on the board, and there's no risk or no reward because all you just have to do is tap it, and it does the effect. Unlike Relic of Verdunitas, which you have to leave 1 mana open. This has no mana restrictions. It is really good and sees play pretty much everywhere, and it does actually see main play in Urza builds because even if you just cast this for 0, you get the benefit of adding 1 blue mana. So a lot of players are kind of interested in this in the Urza deck, and they will actually just put 1 or 2 crypts in there just for the fun of it because it's so powerful. You either get 1 blue mana, or you could just sack it and just remove their graveyard. Maybe they're trying to resurrect something. You could just say nope, you know. Or if someone's playing Gift Storm, bye bye. So Tormod's Crypt is basically the standard child of all graveyard hate. Basically, you follow this card and it is your senpai for all the graveyard hate cards like Grafdigger's Cage and freaking Relic of Virginitas. Basically, this is the godfather of all graveyard hate cards. Very, very powerful card indeed. It's just broken with when it comes to graveyard removal. That's it. Basically, it doesn't produce mana on its own unless you have a Urza. So yeah, just put this in your deck. Probably not though. You probably waste space. But just put it in your deck. Maybe you're running against a Gitrog monster in EDH. Oh, scary. Up next, we have number 2, which is probably This was a really close call with number 2 and number 1. We'll get to number 1 later, but here is Maze of Ith, and this sees play in actually some vintage decks because of the way it works, and you could just use it just to untap an attacking creature. This is played in a lot of control builds, but it sometimes is also used to stop Gristlebrand from attacking. And because what you can do is you can burn all combat damage that be dealt to this creature this turn. By the way, some people think you can use Fury of the Hordes on your Gristlebrand, but it still prevents the damage for you. So a lot of sideboard cards rely on this card if they're playing anything like Reanimator. So then they could just Maze of Ith. This also protects them against some Eldrazi threats like Emrakul. And if they're playing a Sneak and Show deck, you could just, hey, Maze of Ith, you can't attack me. Prevent all combat damage, basically. So yeah, it's a pretty busted card for what it does. So, why is this not number 1? Well, I was actually fighting for number 1 and number 2 for a while. I would just barely say that this edges out maybe number 1 in some circumstances. But I think the next card has a lot more circumstances than you think. So I gave number 1 to a very surprising card I did not expect to even place on this list because I was just looking through all the cards and I was like, what is like the most disruptive? What is the most broken playstyle ever? And I was thinking, well, this has to be one of them. This type of prison cards, and that's Blood Moon for 2 and a red, and it's an enchantment. Because people thought red was bad, but it has this badass over here. So what does this badass do exactly? Well, it just makes non-basic lands all mountains. So what's the big deal about that? Non-basics, come on, what can you shut down? Most of the cards we mentioned on this list, it can shut down Maze of Ith, it can shut down City of Shadows, and it can shut down all those problematic lands. Caracas, it could shut down Strip Mine, it could shut down the list goes on and on and on for the most broken lands. Legendary lands, Gaia's Cradle, Tolarian Academy. The list goes on and on and on for all the broken cards. So why did I put this on #1 when people think, this is a sideboard card. How can this make it onto the list for #1? Well, there's actually a deck called Blue Moon, which actually uses Blood Moon and uses some blue. What you can basically do with this card is make prison decks out of it, and it's really, really good. I've seen a lot of prison decks run even Magus of the Moon just for the heck of it, like in Red White Prison. Red White Prison runs Blood Moon type of effects, and it uses Nahiri and a bunch of like ensnaring bridges to kind of lock down the board in Modern. It's basically a toxic deck. Sometimes it's sideboarded in, but most of the times not really. I see it mostly mainboarded on, honestly. So Blue Moon decks love this. Prison decks love this. Just a lot of decks love this card. You could sideboard in against Tron. You could sideboard in against Eldrazi Tron. You could sideboard in against like Affinity, Humans. Just it's a sideboard and a mainboard card. Why can this not be #1? This is #1 for a fact. Just because of how much you can just abuse this card in basically any circumstance, mainboard or sideboard, by the way. And yeah, that's basically going to do it for the set of the Dark in Magic the Gathering. So, what do you think was #1? I mean, I don't think I don't think there's no argument. I don't think anyone can beat Blood Moon. Blood Moon is just way too powerful. I just in Modern I see it everywhere. It's just crazy. They mainboard the thing. Like, come on, it must be a good card. That's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, anyways, that's gonna do it for this list. So I don't know when the next list will be up. I still have the notes though, what I want to do, and what the rankings are. So we'll get to it pretty soon. So hopefully I'll make another video pretty soon. I've been kind of busy though with a lot of things in my life. So doing these videos is kind of hard for me, but I can still do them sometimes. So this is just my way of saying I'm still here for you guys. Anyways, that's going to do it, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, and peace.